Get it on. Got to get on a church. We're going to mandate. Get it on. All right. The acoustics sound a little different because I'm not in studio. There are no co-hosts. There's no guest. This show, I'm in a hotel room in Burbank, California, because I had to flee for my life yesterday about 6:30 in the evening. Now, you've all heard about the Malibu fire and the Pacific Palisades fire and the Santa Monica and Pasadena and Altadena and all that. So we'll break it down, but for those, so we're doing a little different format. Obviously, I'm not allowed back in my home. The power is out at the studio. Thank God I did 20 minutes on power poles yesterday because the power poles are all down because of the winds and the power's out at the studio. Either the power goes out because the poles go down or they shut the power preemptively so that when the poles go down and the wires go down, it doesn't start a fire. But anyway, I'm sitting here in my hotel room in Burbank, California. Joe Prano's here and Dawson's here, so occasionally they may shout something out or I may yell something at them, but they're not mic'd up. So again, it's a little catch as catch can over here. So just so people kind of get the lay of the land who may not be from these parts. Malibu's Malibu. I think you got that pretty good. The Palisades are nice and a little more family-oriented and sort of family-style homes. Carson Daly had a place over there in the Palisades. And then you get into Santa Monica, which is like a little more residential, but still very expensive and very exclusive. And the Palisades are basically the canyon in between Malibu and Santa Monica. The average house in Malibu is probably $8 million, maybe 12. I don't know. Average Palisades probably 6, and the average Santa Monica is probably 4.5 or something in the millions. Now, there are thousands of structures, or at least 1,000 structures down in Malibu, so says the news. So I'll break down the timeline, and then I'll get into some specifics, and then I have a lot of thoughts. So I hope you're ready to hear them. I jinxed myself because they opened an Equinox gym on Sunset Boulevard and PCH. Sunset is Sunset and goes all the way down and just dies at PCH. And for months, I've been seeing a sign that said Equinox Gym coming soon. And I live, 2 miles the other direction, but it's right on my way to work. And I got this Amex card, which gets me a free membership. And I was like, I'm going to use the hell out of that place every day before I go to work. I'm just going to stop there, take a sauna, cold plunge, take a Pilates class or whatever. So I honored my word. It opened a couple of weeks ago. And by cracky, I've been doing something I never do, which is work out in the morning on my way in. I do what winners do. Winners work out in the morning. Mediocre to mid-pack winners work out in the evening, and then losers never work out. That's kind of the break. The real winners are I get up at 5:30 and I swim 10 miles at the gym. Those people are the ones. They're the ones in the tampon commercials that are just taking over the world. And I decided I want to be a winner, so I was going to get up. We'll work out in the morning. I'll take the cold plunge, and I'm going to use the hell out of this place. And I announced to the heavens, I'm on like 5 days in a row. I've never done that before. And I step out to the balcony. It's up like 4 stories, getting ready to go to my car, and it's right on Sunset, right at PCH. And I just looked to the left. I see huge plumes of smoke. And if you go back and you go, oh, they think the fire started between 10:30 and 11 o'clock or about 10:45 on whatever morning. That's exactly when I stepped out there because I had to be at the studio at 11:45 to do do a segment with Drew. So it was going to take me about an hour. So I gave myself a little extra time. But right then, I was right there. I stood right there and watched a fire start. Then I got on PCH and I drove toward the shop. And then I went in, had a long day of podcasting, and then finished up about 4:30 or 5, and then got back in the car. But by this time, they'd closed off PCH at Topanga. Topanga is closer towards Santa Monica and the 10 freeway and the pier and all that. And so basically what it would be is if you go on PCH, you start in Santa Monica, you'll cross Sunset, you'll cross Topanga, and then eventually you'll get down toward the Ventura County line at the end, but all the way through, you go through the Colonies, you go through Malibu, you go by Pepperdine, you go by Point Doom and Zuma Beach and all the famous beaches and Paradise Cove and everything like that. So I'm down further away from Santa Monica. But anyway, by the time it's time to drive back, well, now I can't come in the way I normally come in, but I can go the other direction where Pepperdine is, through Las Virgenes, through the canyon, come around and go backside. I make it back to my condo. Now, I'm not that worried about it because the condo's built in 91 and it's untouched by fire. So we got 35 years of not being burnt by a fire. So you think, well, all right, you're in a position that the fires don't normally get to because there's fires every 10 minutes. There was a fire 3.5 weeks ago. So there's a fire in Malibu every 10 minutes, but this place has been there since Paula Abdul was on the top of the charts. So you think you're going to be okay. I come in, eat a couple of pot stickers, ass hits the sofa. I'm in there for about 20 minutes, and my girlfriend says she just got the alert on her phone. It's time to evacuate. And I say, really? I just drove here an hour and a half in traffic from Glendale. Where are we evacuating to? She said, well, why don't we just go back to the studio in Glendale? And it's got a bathroom, it's sofas, it's comfortable, it's got a television set. And I go, okay, so I'm just going to turn around and drive back to Glendale. Yes, what are our choices? And then I go, okay. And I'm waiting for the power to go off because emotionally, I want the power to go off so that I can say, good, let's get out of here. I need TV. You don't get it. I have to watch TV at night, and with no power, there's no chance of that. So I go, I know the power is going to go off, but I wish it went off so I could then justify leaving and driving an hour and a half in a windstorm back to Glendale. So it's dark now, and I'm going to load up the car with all the bags we packed, and I turn on the porch light, the stair lights, and the out front of the garage lights, and I take one step down the staircase, and everything goes black. And I pause, and I think, well, I wish the lights were on so I could load up this car and see what I was doing, but I'm happy. I'm happy because now there's no power. No power means no TV. No TV means I need to flee. So I go, good. We have no power. Good. Let's leave. I turn around. I walk back up the stairs. I get in the living room. The power comes on. I go, now the power's on? Why'd the power go off? Last time this happened, the power was off for a day. This time it was off for 2.5 minutes. So I go, okay. I'm going to sit down and watch a little TV just to get a little fix, a little hit, a little freeze. And I sit down, but the Wi-Fi's out, and I don't have any TV to watch. And I go, all right, fuck it, no TV. Good. Pack it all up, and head to Glendale, where the studio is. Now, along the way, wind like I've never seen before. I've been in this place for near 60 years, and I've never seen wind like this. And the wind is going hard. I mean, it's really crazy. Sodom and Gomorrah out there. It's It's insane out there. And pull into the shop, start noticing telephone pole wires everywhere. And I'm going to put up a picture. Joe's going to put it up. A picture I took about 5 hours after I went on a mega rant about telephone poles and wires and why the fuck can't we bury these things in the ground, and why are we spending $200 billion on a high-speed rail that no one gives a fuck about, and we don't have wires in the ground in 2025? No. This pole, you got to see this picture, Dawson. This is right across the street. Yep, the pole's knocked over. There's power. There's power wires in the street. Now I'm driving around going, oh, I just went on an epic rant. The winds are 80 miles an hour at this point. I'm like, I just went on an epic rant about power lines, and now I'm going to be killed when one of these things falls over and smashes my car while I'm sitting here, because it's just power lines all the way up and down. And then I get to the shop, and the power's out at the shop. That's karma, because I was hoping the power was out in Pasadena so I could justify, I'll get to Pasadena and Drew in a second, but in Malibu, so I could justify leaving Malibu, but the power stayed on, but it then went out in Glendale. So now I realize there's no stand with no power in Glendale, and all these power poles are knocked over, and there's hot wires everywhere. And also, when you hear the news, they're like, well, the firemen are trying to fight the fire, but these are hot wires and power poles have fallen over, and they're in the streets, and they're creating a hazard, and they can't go in there, and they don't know if the wires are hot or not. It's like, yes, everything I said, everything I've just been talking about, everything they could have fixed. It's very knowable. It's very doable. The reason we have fires is because it's super windy. And when it gets super windy, old shit that's tall and thin falls over. That's how it works. So the oldest and the thinnest are the power poles. So they're going to fall over, and they're going to cause a fire, or they're just going to be in the street, and the firemen are going to have to deal with it. And by the way, the firemen are spraying water on everything. So now it's hot wires and water. Very knowable, very doable, everybody. But all right, we've chosen not to do it. So I then check into a hotel in Burbank, California, and then, of course, turn on the news and watch the chaos. Now, the way the fires work in Malibu is they stay up in the hills. It's sort of like we used to have looting during riots, like when Rodney King was beaten in L.A., rioted. They riot in these neighborhoods. They stay in their neighborhoods until the Koreans get on the roof and shoot at them. They stay in their neighborhood and riot and burn down their own neighborhood. Recently, they're like, why are we burning down our own neighborhood? We can go to Beverly Hills or Santa Monica and get their shit. They've got much better stuff over there than we got, and they figured it out. Well, the fire's sort of the same thing. The fires in Malibu used to stay up in the hills. They're brush fires, so there wasn't any fuel for them down by the ocean. Obviously, the ocean is not fuel. The sand is not fuel. And then there's homes that run along the sand in the ocean, but then there's a pretty wide strip of highway, PCH, in between, and the fire would come down the hill and stop. Well, now it has jumped. And once it jumps, then all bets are off, because anything can burn in Malibu once it jumps. And the houses, somebody sent me a video. We'll post it. The video starts off basically in front of my condo, but down the hill from my condo, and then proceeds to go down PCH toward Pepperdine, toward Santa Barbara, north, and every single structure is burnt on the water side of PCH, which is nuts. And average price for those homes is $14 million. And every single one of them is gone, all the way down. Except for wildly the beach club I belong to, which is nothing but 4x6 lattice work on top, totally pristine, untouched. And then it goes past the beach place and goes right back to burnt dwellings. I have no idea how this beach club, which is 100 feet of like 4x8 lattice work up top, completely untouched, just open wood. That's all really it is, with one big long sort of lattice piece of work, couple little dwellings, bathroom, completely unmolested, completely untouched. The fire goes right up to it. It burns every single dwelling up to it, then goes up past it and begins burning everything on the other side of it. It's uncanny, Dawson. You got to see this. Joe, it's uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird because it's all just made out of wood.
And if it's lattice, though, is that maybe not giving a space for an ember to catch?
I mean, it's hard for an ember to land on like a 4x8 and start a fire. It does need kindling, so to speak. So some insulation or some thinner material. Yes, you're right. It's incongruous that this big structure is made out of wood did not catch on fire. But anyway, it just keeps going. And it's a guy just driving down PCH in his truck, and he's sort of narrating. Somebody sent it to me. Those are my neighbors. When I look out the window of my living room, I see, or used to see, all those houses, and they are multi-million dollar dwellings just right on down the run. Now, so that's where the fire is. Now, as far as did my dwelling catch on fire? Well, you would assume that if the fire was up on the hill and the houses down on the beach caught on fire directly in front of my house, then I would be in between those two, and I would most certainly be burnt down. And so my girlfriend woke me up this morning basically sobbing and saying that our house was gone. The condo was gone. And then I said, how do you know the condo's gone? And then she said, somebody in the neighborhood texted, a woman texted her, and she got confirmation, and it was gone. So I was like, wow, I was pretty bummed out. And then started thinking about my 1/5 scale model of my Hawaiian Tropic 935. Beautiful model that was sitting in my closet. Started thinking about that being gone. And then about a half hour later, the same person texted back and said, maybe it's not gone. Which I don't appreciate that part of life. I just don't. But I was still relieved to hear maybe it's not gone after literally being woken up to it's gone. So now in the interim, some good stuff. Jimmy reached out and asked me if I want to stay with him and so on and so forth. So, but if this place is gone, I really don't know what I would do. But I will go on a little mini rant here for a second, which is these people of the Palisades, of Malibu, of parts of Santa Monica, these people are all homeless. They're officially homeless. They fit the definition of homeless because they are unhoused. And I know you guys don't like to say junkies or mental nut jobs. You like to say homeless or the unhoused community, our unhoused community. Okay, everyone in Malibu's unhoused now, and everyone in the Palisades is unhoused. The great Steve Gutenberg, who we'll be hearing from later, is unhoused. I am unhoused. And all Jay-Z and Beyonce may be unhoused, along with Bill Simmons and everyone else in the Palisades and Santa Monica. We're all unhoused. Anyone sleeping on the sidewalk tonight? Anybody? Nobody? Nobody's sleeping outdoors tonight, but why? We're out. We're unhoused. We're unhoused. So, of course, we should be sleeping in a refrigerator box underneath the fucking overpass, but we're not. Why not? Because it's not about the house, you fucking retards. I have a network. They don't have a network because they're junkies and they burnt every bridge in their life. That's why. Not because of the house. I can go to Dr. Drew's house and crash at his house, and or I can go to Jimmy's house and crash at his house, and or I can afford to check into a hotel room. I am unhoused, but I have a network, and I'm not mentally insane, and I'm not a drug addict. Thus, none of the people who just got dehoused are going to be unhoused. They're all sleeping in a bed tonight. It's not their bed. Could be a hotel, could be a friend, could be a family member, but they are going to sleep indoors tonight. Every single one of them. Every one of them. So you want to talk about unhoused, housing problem? We got a problem with a shortage of housing. No, we don't. These are drug addicts who can't hold down a job and function in society. So there you go. It's not about the house. We're all dehoused. Everyone in Malibu has no house. Okay. So, sidebar. Tell me what you guys think of this. I just looked down. I was making all kinds of random notes. I'm sitting in my hotel room this morning. Thank God I took my very plush bathrobe and my cozy ass slippers, high boy slippers that come up way past the ankle, fleece lined, beautiful, and this big cushy plush thing. I'm like a warlock with like a wizard with this thing. Like that. The thing hangs down longer than my arms. It almost drags on the ground. Okay. In a world, and so I say to my girlfriend, where's the cafe? I got to get some coffee. And she goes, oh, the cafe's in the lobby. And I go, oh, man, do I got to put on sweatpants and flip-flops? But here's my question. Honestly, in 2025, I go to LAX. I see women walking around in goddamn pajamas. They're wearing pajama bottoms, a sports bra, and slippers. And I see women, I go to the gym. Everyone's wearing yoga pants and a sports bra. I can see every pube bump, every contour, every ingrown hair on an ass cheek. It's all there. Why is it unacceptable for me to walk out in a bathrobe and slippers? Now, it is, but why? I am showing less flesh than anybody in this entire hotel when I put the bathrobe on. I mean, I know I look like an insane mob boss or something, but it should be acceptable. If women are just going out in the yoga pants and the cycling shorts, and literally at LAX, I see women wearing pajama bottoms and fuzzy slippers. You want to know utopia this world would be if I could just head out in my robe? And by the way, I'm in a robe. You know what I mean? Like that Muhammad Ali wore robe to go to the ring. You know what I mean? Like I just put trunks on underneath, put the robe on, and why can't I go into this lobby with my robe and my slippers and get a coffee without scornful looks? That's all I'm saying.
Because you're showing leg.
I'm not showing.
How long is the robe?
Dawson, I could put on trunks and walk out.
Right.
So this is your theory?
Well,
no, you don't have a theory, Dawson. Your theory is my knees are showing. First off, I told you it was the longest, plushest robe ever. I'm not showing anything. The robe's 8 foot long. It's in the next room. No, what do you think? I'm wearing a robe like I work at a rub and tug or something?
Well, I thought if you're wearing boxers and a robe that goes just to your knees, I think that's inappropriate. If it goes to the floor and covers your legs, or you're wearing sweatpants,
all right, Dawson.
Then I don't think you'll
This is why you don't get a microphone. When you wear basketball trunks that go to your knees, I mean, shorts. You could go out in shorts, right?
That.
All right.
Bathrobe is different, I think, and that's why you're getting the dirty looks.
No. I'm not saying it is different. I'm saying it shouldn't be different. I am covered Well, I'm much more covered up than you would be wearing a T-shirt and swim trunks and walking out there.
Okay,
much
that was
more.
unclear to me.
Well, remember the robe hung down past my hands
That
and
part I got.
the biggest, plushest. Okay, all right. Anyway,
Byron will be in the robe
got
at the end of
it. Yes, he's already wearing his gliders or sliders. Are those slides or glides? I can't figure it out.
Slide.
Anyway, that conflict. Anyway, all right. So, on a happy note, I guess all the Winnebagos that were parked up and down PCH where they're cooking meth out of, those things surely are gone because those would have burnt up in the fire. They'll be the first ones back, by the way. Like here, you want to know the comedy? The comedy is the guys who lost their $20 million homes on the ocean side of PCH will be knee-deep in the permit process. They will be trying to pull permits when the guys in the Winnebagos will have been back for months before those guys ever get a permit. As a matter of fact, good fucking luck. Because here's the deal. Alan Hamill and Suzanne Summers moved because they could not get a permit to rebuild their home of 40 years on the ocean on PCH, right? So here's what's going to happen. Let me just give you guys a little primer of what's going to happen. You know how Bill Maher seems real conservative now when he's like arguing with Jane Fonda about regulations, too many regulations, like strangling everything? Because remember, when Bill Maher tried to put solar in his house in Beverly Hills, that's when he turned against the government because he saw what the government and the overreach of government and overregulation does. He got strangled. It took him 3 years to build a solar shack. He had a whole countdown on his show, day 1,000 since I've got my permit for my solar. He turned. Okay. The people who live in Malibu, who live in Santa Monica, who live in the Palisades, those are some of the most progressive blue voters in the world or in the United States. They are a bastion of blue. So what those guys did is all the people in the Palisades, I checked it out. It's about 80% blue, 80% progressive, 80% Democrat. Now, these pussies are all sitting around crying about Karen Bass, water pressure, how come the forest wasn't cleared of all the brush, what's happening with the infrastructure. You guys all voted for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. You all voted for Gavin Newsom. And now you fucking get what you get. Oh, now that your house is on fire, well, now you're thinking about something else. Now you want to know what's going on. What's going on around here? You didn't give a shit about what was going on when other people's houses were on fire, but now you care. So here's what's going to happen. All these people who were deep blue Democrats are now going to have to pull a permit to rebuild. And they're going to get the 28-year-old bitch from the Coastal Commission telling them to go fuck off. And then they're going to vote for Trump or whoever's Trumpian next. You see, they're going to get turned. They're going to get turned hard because, as I've always said, live in the rent control apartment in Santa Monica, fine, good. We know how you vote. Go deal with the city. Try to pull a permit. These are going to be thousands of homes, super wealthy people, and these people don't want to live in Van Nuys. They like it where they are. They love Malibu. They love the Palisades. They love Santa Monica. There's going to be a whole bunch of rich people, and they're going to go, I'm rebuilding, and I want to rebuild as fast as I can. And between the part where they go in to planning commission and plan check and initially and try to pull a permit to the time the first load of lumber, the first load of 2x4s is dropped off on their lot where their house formerly stood, it's going to be 3 years. And 1,000 permits and 1,000 arguments and 1,000 discussions with the Coastal Commission, not to mention little tidbits that they didn't think about, like Carson Daly. You want a swimming pool? Yep. Got to be double hulled. Really? Yeah. Well, why? Well, what if water leaches out and gets into the groundwater table? Carson Daly had to build a swimming pool like a modern day oil tanker. Had to put like a double hold. That's all right. It'll just cost $500,000 for a swimming pool. Like that, they're going to be, when they start getting the regulation, they're going to go nuts. And when they start running into the bureaucracy and the red tape, they're going to start going nuts, and they're going to vote for Rick Caruso next time because they want to get, that's all Trump says, is we're going to pull back the regulations. We're going to free people up. They're going to find out. They're going to get bit by their own snake. They're going to convert. I am telling you, these are the bluest people on the planet, and they're going to be fucking ripshit pissed when the city and the Coastal Commission tell them to fuck off. And by the way, I don't think the Coastal Commission is going to okay anyone rebuilding any of their houses on the coast because they say they're in the business of protecting the coast. They're in the business of getting you to leave. They will get their wish, which is no buildings. And they're going to make it hard for everyone. And then we're going to have to restructure the whole thing because we can't have 9 angry lesbians controlling everything that goes on in Malibu, the Palisades, and Santa Monica. Okay. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. Be right back after this. Well, you want to start a business, your own business, a small business, and grow it this year. Let's do this. And now's the best time to start. Shopify is going to help you. I started a business, and I use Shopify, and I'm glad I did. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running. It's easy, and they've got thousands of customizable templates that can help you with all the details like shipping, taxes, payments, from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff like growing your business, because you want to be freed up to grow your business, not burdened with the nickel and dime stuff. Let Shopify help you with that. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. It's Shopify, right, Dawson?
Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Carolla, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Carolla to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/Carolla.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Well, listen, people. It's a new year, and you made a lot of promises. Let's keep a few of them. Let's keep the promise of getting your head straight so you can then take care of everything else. Resolutions fade away, but therapy is kind of a way of life, and I'm a big fan of it. Dr. Drew's a big fan. I've always said, once you get your head right, the rest will follow. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and it's flexible as well. You just fill out a brief questionnaire, and you get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists anytime at no additional charge. So this year, make a commitment to you. You've made the commitment to eat right. You made the commitment to work out. Now let's work on the old bean with BetterHelp.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and flexible. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. In the spirit of Murrow, Jennings, Cronkite, here's another great moment in local news.
Here on Palisades Drive, if anybody has a car and they leave the keys in the car, so that we can move your car so that these fire trucks can get up Palisades Drive. What's happening is people take their keys with them as if they're in a parking lot. This is not a parking lot. We really need people to move their cars. So if you leave your car in Palisades Drive, leave the key in there so a guy like me can move your car and get them up there so that these fire trucks can get up there. It's really, really important.
Thank you for talking to us live, sir. What's your name?
My name is Steve Gutenberg.
That's a great moment in local news. Now, back to the Adam Carolla Show.
All right. So again, if you're just joining us, although I don't know how you just join a podcast, I think you're pretty much in or out. But if you're just joining us, I'm in a hotel room in Burbank. My home in Malibu is either there or it's not there. And the reason I will say that is so far I've seen film of PCH underneath my home, which is completely devastated. So that doesn't give me a lot of hope. Then I saw film of the other side of my street, which seemed to be somewhat intact with a few burned places. And then I saw a picture of a store that's down toward the bottom of my hill, which seems to be intact. So I don't know is the answer as I speak to you from my hotel room in Burbank. Other thoughts. Now, keep in mind, where are these fires coming from? I've spoken to the firemen who are on PCH and a lot of firemen who work in LA County, and it's all homeless. It's guys that are high, camping in the hills, passed out on drugs, smoking a cigarette, whatever. I mean, there's two ways these fires start. It's homeless people. Homeless, remember, and it's power lines that fall over in windstorms because the infrastructure is decrepit. That's both on the city and that's both on the state. You have a homeless problem, you have a power infrastructure problem. You have both problems and they both land in your lap because this is super fixable. The homeless is fixable. The power grid is fixable, and you've chosen to focus on the LGBT community and the bullet train to nowhere in Merced. So that's on you. Also, a vid that was making the rounds and maybe going viral even is me in front of Congress, I think from a few years back, telling the story of when I attempted to sign up to be a fireman in LA County and was rejected because of the color of my skin, even though I was poor and destitute and played football and had a strong back. Like I was ready to carry someone out of a fire. Then they started doing the rounds of the LA police chief, who's a lady and it's a first. She's a member of the LGBT plus community and she needs to be celebrated. Okay. I've been saying it. You can't run things this way. You can give people jobs based on their sexual proclivities and their skin color and their ethnicity as long as the jobs aren't important. They can drive the shuttle at the airport. They can work at the Cinnabon at the airport. They can even do security. They can do almost anything at an airport. But as soon as you get out of the airport and you need real competence, like the lady who is the head of the police, whatever, New Orleans, looks like a white, crazy Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son. Like that woman doesn't look competent at anything. And if you notice that the more and more disasters we have and who's leading the press conference, it's a postmenopausal chick who is LGBT friendly or whatever. And you're like, is this just a coincidence or do we keep putting these people in this position? And what do you expect? What are we looking for? You people are all sitting around, all you dickheads who live in the Palisades, who voted for Karen Bass and never stop patting yourself on the back because we have the first African-American female right. She's in Africa collecting beads and your fucking house is burning down and you want to know what's going on. You don't know what's going on? You elect incompetent people, you pat yourself in the back, you look at his progress, and then we get fucked. So, again, it could be a vice president. It could be the mayor of Los Angeles. It could be the deputy police inspector of New Orleans. It could be the fire chief of Los Angeles. These are pretty important jobs, pretty highfalutin jobs. And I would not care if every single one of them was manned by a black lesbian. I would not have any problem with that whatsoever, just as long as none of that factored in to them getting the job. But if they got pushed up ahead of other people because of that, and that seems to be what's happening because you guys never stop celebrating that, then no, I do not want that. And I know you're doing it because you celebrate it. You always go, oh, she's the first. What's that have to do with fire safety? What the fuck does being a lesbian have to do with fire safety? I would argue they know less about fire safety because their hair is so short. The heterosexual women who have real long hair, they got to blow out candles, they got to light candles, they got to kindle. They have to light the sterno can when they're having the party, and they got the chafing dish outside. Long hair bitches, they know fire safety. All right. Anyway, so I will continue on. I'm just looking down on some notes. I talked to Dr. Drew. Half this fire was in Pasadena and Altadena. Altadena is like a slightly poorer version of Pasadena. It's a little more sort of just real working class kind of, working class where the houses are $1.4 million a piece, but working class. So my dad lived in Altadena and recently just sold his house. So I don't even, he was like in the foothills. So I honestly don't know if his house or his ex-house is still there. As a matter of fact, I think that it was closing today. So I don't know if it's closing and on fire at the same time. I don't know, but it sounds pretty poetic to me. Drew is in Pasadena, but he's in a nicer, plusher part of Pasadena. I talked to him. His house is safe, says there's a lot of smoke, streets blocked off, lots of trees down as well. So it is, I literally just been a shitstorm here. The fire in the Palisades seems to be 0% contained as I speak to you. And the wind is such that it just runs amok and it goes in every direction and they can't contain it at all. But as we were talking about in yesterday's show, it's 2025. There shouldn't be a fire every time it gets windy. There was a fire and we were evacuated 3.5 weeks ago. It was not a month. It was another fire because it got windy. I feel like in a place where you pay the most taxes anywhere, you shouldn't think, well, the wind's gusty and now we're all going to burn. We're living in modern times. So now the problem with all this stuff is it's sort of part and parcel of the sanctuary city. Like, okay, this is who we say we are. No. It's time for the adults to get back in charge. And I hope these people of Malibu, Palisades, Santa Monica are going to understand that it's great. All the platitudes are great. We got the first this and the first that, and representation and all that. It's all great. It's all great until the fucking fire starts. Until the guy gets in the pickup truck and tries to drive it through Bourbon Street, until people start running amok on the subway and lighting people on fire and pushing them on the track. It's all great during good times. But we don't have fire chiefs for good times. We have fire chiefs for fires. And that's when we need them to spring into action. All right, let's see. I wrote down, thank God we got, I turned on the TV, I saw Gavin Newsom and Biden have come together. So we're good now. We're out of the woods. I don't even know if Biden knows where he is. I think he thinks he's in New Orleans talking to victims. I am out. I'm going to go to Vegas from here and do some shows over at Kimmel's place. I do also want to say another thing. Now, so what's going to happen is now all the politicians like Gavin Newsom are going to start in on the climate change and the global warming and all the other shit. Now, it would have been nice if the seas had risen enough to put out all the fucking fires of all the houses, because you wouldn't maintain and manage the brush in the forest or the water pressure or anything else. But that would have been great. That didn't happen. He's going to start in on climate change. Okay, here's what I have to say about it, and I'm going to try to be philosophical about it. I will grant you this, Gavin Newsom. Let's just go hypothetically. 100% of these fires are caused by climate change. 100%. That's the whole reason why we're dealing with this. 100%. Okay. What are we going to do about it? Okay, that's the problem. But now what's the plan? You want to get the guy in Santa Monica to drive a Nissan Leaf instead of a Ford Explorer. That's fine, but China's building another coal-powered plant. They just finished one today, and they're starting one tomorrow, and we can't get the rest of the world, China and India, the places with the biggest populace, they're not going along with this. You got the guy in Santa Monica's attention, but he doesn't control global warming. He can't really control the sea. So you want to switch over to electric leaf blowers. But I don't think that's going to be an immediate fix for a fire every 20 minutes. I say with the electric leaf blower, even if you included lawnmowers and edgers, it would still take several years before this problem was fixed. So now, again, it's all caused by global warming. Fine, have it your way. Many experts would disagree, but fine, we'll have it your way. What the fuck are we going to do? Because there's been 2 fires in 3 weeks. What shall we look forward to? Just fires in perpetuity? Well, the answer is us and technology. New Orleans was devastated by Katrina because they're below sea level, but they have sea walls. But the sea walls fell into disrepair and didn't work, and they were overtaken. So then the Army Corps of Engineers came in and built sea walls, and now New Orleans, who's below sea level, does not have another Katrina-like situation. So now that's your job. That's what you do. You go, well, we have a global warming. Say, yeah. So then thin the brush, thin the forest, get the water pressure up, start working on ways to combat it, which is basically the same as building a seawall. Like, okay, the oceans have risen, and now the people of New Orleans, build a wall. People live in Arizona now. People live in Phoenix in the month of July because someone invented air conditioning, and now we're comfortable. You can do things. We can fix these things. Or you can keep blaming global warming or climate change deniers and then institute more completely meaningless legislation about electric cars, electric leaf blowers, or not, having water heaters, or having cows, getting cows to stop farting, or whatever the fuck you're talking about that does. You've been talking about it for 20 years. It's done nothing. So now it's time for some boots on the ground shit, some shit that works. Figure it out, because that's the only way this is going to work. All right, let's see. What else do I have to complain about? I think that's about it. I'll send you guys a tweet or two. We'll put some of these vids up and some of these pictures up. I'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on, because it's still, at this point, it's probably a coin toss as to whether my condo is there or not. I would probably take that coin toss. I would do it now if you said you want to do it. It's probably 50-50, but I would toss that coin. But so I don't exactly know. And it is weird, but the information comes out in dribs and drabs, but it doesn't really let you know exactly what's going on with your dwelling. So again, sorry for the rush job. We had a little very different situation here with fleeing and everything, but I'll send out some tweets and keep you guys updated. And until next time, this is Adam Carolla saying mahalo.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace Man, Paul here in Missouri. I was watching the news with you and Rudy, and I think you inadvertently coined a new phrase. You got AI, which is artificial intelligence, And you've got EI, which is estrogen influx. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Rudy's here. Everyone loves Rudy and his news.
What's going on?
We'll do that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking down on my list of things to talk about. I had an interesting thought. Well, I think it's interesting. I kind of think everything means something. Like I don't take anything as light. You know, if you see a neighbor walking down the street, you're standing on your porch, and that neighbor's walking to get his mailbox, and he picks up a piece of garbage that somebody left and puts it in a trash can and walks back. You go, okay, that's a good neighbor. That's a good dude. That guy's kind of universally good.
Yes.
And if you saw another neighbor like walking down the street and their dog was sniffing and they kicked the dog in the ribs, you'd go, okay, that's an asshole neighbor. Now you go, what do you know about that person? Well, all you know is that guy picked up a piece of garbage and that guy kicked his dog. But I think I know a lot about that person. And that's kind of how I roll. Like, most people, for some reason, don't do that. Like, when I saw the clip, and we always play it, it's worth playing it again, and Andrew's got to look for it because I didn't talk to him. But when I saw the clip of Joe Biden, like, standing up on stage, holding a microphone, explaining that he was two-time Fulbright scholarship. He's the top of his law class, and he's the only dual major law student that's ever been sent from Cornell. And then he was lying about everything, and he was like 55. I'm like, that guy's a super flawed, fucked up, narcissistic, broken person who, by the way, everything that guy says is now suspect. I've never talked to my son about his business ever. You were just standing in front of a group telling me you won the Lombardi Trophy and the Outlander Trophy and the Butkus Award, and you're the top of your law class, and you're at the bottom of your law class, and you didn't do any of that stuff. So now people go, it's just a politician's up there bragging. Maybe his memory didn't. Are you kidding? That is a sociopath.
Sure.
That's an insane sociopath.
Well, I went to law school.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's go. It's good. The whole clip is awesome. And by the way, it's back when news used to be news. It's back when they would, on ABC or NBC, go after a Democrat. This is great.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a full-blown sociopath.
Yep.
Okay. And for me, I go, something's wrong with that. Now, Trump explaining that when he gets elected, he's going to turn everything into gold is different. It's weird. It's like there's blowhards that talk about being big man on campus and star of the high school team or something. It's different than what Biden does. Mm-hmm. And what Trump does is a blowhardy version of it. But it was an interesting thing. So here's what I was looking at. Somebody showed a clip, and it was over the weekend. It was a UFC fight. Paulo Costa, I guess, won his fight. And he jumps over the fence. He's going to say hi to Trump, which is what all these guys do. All the UFC guys love Trump. All the merit-based people love Trump, airline pilots and stuff like that. It's this faculty, school, teacher, lounge folk that don't like Trump. Yeah. The fucking super lazy fucks that don't do anything.
No merits.
Right. Things that don't compete or do anything. So all the people that compete love Trump. So he jumps over, and we'll just show you the clip. Trump, he wants to say hi to Trump, and he just wins his fight. I don't know what round he won it in, but it doesn't matter. He just finished a UFC fight. You can play it. And Trump grabs his hand. Now, his hand is a sweaty, bloody piece of mess because he just got done pummeling someone with his right hand. And Trump won't let go of his hand, which has to be wet.
Yeah.
With sweat, saliva, maybe blood. Trump's not wearing a glove. Trump just grabbed onto his hand. Now he touches his sweaty arm with his other hand. Now he starts touching his leg. This guy is one big petri dish, sucking up sweat. By the way, he's not wiping his hands. He's not going for a rag. He grabs his hand again. So Dana White. Okay, here's what I'm saying. That's a dude. That's a dude. That's not Mr. Purell. That's not triple mask. That's not, you know where that's been or what about that. It's different. There's a mindset. I don't think you wouldn't find Kamala Harris doing that. And by the way, I look, the guy reaches out, you give him the bump and you retreat, but you don't hang on to a wet, sweaty leather glove, which again, it's got his sweat, it's got the other guy's sweat, it's got blood,
teeth,
spit,
whatever,
DNA, whatever's on there. And then his whole body's covered with sweat and you're touching him.
And he wipes his hair with his right hand and then shakes his hand after that. One of the best pieces of advice I was ever given, I was working construction, like 17 years old. My grandfather was still alive. My grandfather had this guy that he had hired during the summer. He was a little bit older than I was, probably like in his mid-20s, but he said to me, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it completely changed my life. It completely changed. How you do one thing is, and I think about that every time I write a joke or every time I clean my car or every time I put out, I write a script. I just go, how are you going to finish this or aren't you? Because if you can finish cleaning your car, you can finish the goddamn script and you can do it professionally.
Yes, which is not exactly apples to apples for what I'm talking about. But
I'm saying
a good message for the kids anyway.
Yeah, but like you shake a guy's hand, it's all sweaty. You're also, how you do one thing is how you do everything. You're not grossed out by that guy, which means you're probably a guy that can mix it up with other people. You can be germy. You're okay with it.
You are okay on a construction site because a construction site is a lot of sweaty dudes.
That's what I'm saying.
And a lot of guys all lifting up something at the same time, and you're getting the other guy's shit all over you. And it's kind of a eating lunch, just sort of sitting on the ground, you know, sitting on a pile of bricks and eating stuff, putting your sandwich down on the side of the brick, you know, like it's a dude move. And that is, and you know, that it doesn't, you know, I wouldn't know. By the way, I kind of would know something about that guy's foreign policy, which is fuck with this country and you get blown up, because he's the same guy who doesn't care about all the sweat.
See what I mean?
On the guy. All right. Let's see. You got news?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Let's jump into it. A new bill dubbed the Stop Nick Shirley Act passed its first hurdle in California's legislature late Tuesday. The bill's movement comes after 24-year-old independent journalist Nick Shirley published a 40-minute video on hospice fraud in the state. His video racked up 42 million views on X and has brought public scrutiny to California's funded Medicare programs. Other investigations have found that a single program is causing the state to hemorrhage $6 billion in fraud annually.
Right. So we got to stop it. Now, okay, couple things. Politicians, look, this is their constituency, and they don't really care about fraud. They care about their constituency, and you experienced it in Minnesota. That's what's going on. But here's the thing about politicians in the past. They had to feign some sort of sincerity or some sort of caring, you know what I mean? Which is out the window now. And you can find another one of my favorite clips was the Nancy Pelosi, when they were asking her during the Summer of Love, like, people are tearing down statues. Don't you think they should get a permit for that or something? And she goes, people are, they're going to do what they do. It's like, you have to feign. Okay, Nancy Pelosi, your constituency are the animals that's burning the city to the ground, but you have to pretend like you don't like it, even though you do like them and you want their vote. Mm-hmm. But you have to pretend when we put a mic in front of you. So this thing, that's your constituency. It's all immigrants. It's Somalis, I guess. There's actually a clip of Nick talking about it, which, by the way, we should probably play. the Somalis where you're from, Armos where I'm from, but that's their protected group. These are immigrants. These are poor. By the way, they're harder working and contribute more and pay more taxes and use less than we do. Did you know that about the Somalis?
I mean, I was definitely aware, for
Except
sure.
for 80% of them are on welfare. But okay, but that's the rap, right? That's how it works. So we used to feign an interest in this. And what we would do is you would get up there and you'd go, I'm outraged by this fraud. That's taxpayer money, and I'm here to fight for that. And then you'd go back and do nothing. Now you're releasing bills saying we can't uncover the fraud.
Yeah, one of the things that they talk about is these people are not allowed to put out any sort of content with the intent to threaten, intimidate, or incite violence, which is basically them just putting out facts, and then they just go, well, you only put that to incite violence.
Well, let's see if we can just get a 10,000-foot view of this. You are for a secure border, and you're against illegal immigration, but if somebody says, I want to build a wall at the border, you say you're going to tear it down. And if someone in Texas tries to put barbed wire over the Rio Grande, you sue Texas to get it taken down. So are you against this thing? And you're against fraud, except for you're going to attack Elon Musk when he puts together a thing called Doge and burn his dealerships. And you're against fraud, but you're releasing a bill to essentially attack the guy who uncovered the fraud. So you're against these things, except for there's no part of your action that ever seems against any of these things. And now you're in a really weird position because you have to go through your political life saying, I'm against this and I'm against fraud and I'm for a closed and stout border, except for everything I do is to repel both those things. Mm-hmm. And now I'm confused as a voter, except for I'm not. I know what you want. Yes.
And in the wording of this language, journalism is pernicious now.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's hear Nick. Let's hear his response to this.
All right, check this out. This is a bit crazy. California Democrats advance Stop Nick Shirley Act to criminalize investigative journalism. So after I expose widespread fraud all across America, and quite frankly, states like Minnesota and California are just the worst at it, letting fraud take place, especially inside of immigrant communities. For instance, the Somalians in Minnesota and then the Armenians in California. And so now they're trying to silence anybody who exposes fraud inside of California. For instance, if this bill is passed, the Quality Leering Center that was in Minnesota would be protected from being exposed. That is absolutely crazy. And the crazy thing about this is the person who's proposing this bill, her name is Mia Bonta. Her husband is the Attorney General of California. And so let's say you expose fraud. This is what could happen to you inside the state of California. You could get a misdemeanor, a $10,000 fine, imprisonment, and your content forced to be deleted. That is absolutely crazy. It is time for people to either stand up or we face mass oppression from those that rule us.
Oh, no kings. Yeah, I'm going to go down a no kings march. Yeah. Okay, Rob Bonta is the AG of California. His wife is putting this ahead. First off, would you get your bitch on a leash? Jesus Christ, if my fucking wife said, I got a plan, I'm going to go I'd go, look, sweetheart, you know what that's going to look like for fucking me?
Sure.
We're going to look like idiots. And by the way, you're going to look like you're aiding and abetting fraud. And my job is to stop fraud. Think about the optics of it.
Yeah.
So that's insane. Also, it kind of proves they don't care anymore. Like, just fuck it. I'm just going to, like, there used to be an optics thing where someone go, you know what that looks like? This is also chick think. Chicks will fucking just say anything and do anything. I'm going to put a bill ahead that says it's like Nithya Raman talking about catalytic converters. Like, bitch, shut up. You don't fuck. You got to hear what you sound like with this shit. You're blaming Toyota for people stealing catalytic converters. You're nuts.
Yeah.
That sounds insane. This is a feminine trait. It's kind of the, again, when they pull the guy off the airplane who's been battling with the stewardess for the last hour, you'll always hear the women's voice yelling, "What's going on?" That's not them saying what's going on. That's them saying, "I can't control my mouth. I can't control my brain. I just fucking shit just comes flying out." You know what I mean?
This goes back to the phone call earlier. It is EI, estrogen influx.
Yes, and so California is the most feminine governmental state, and thus we get the most crazy fucking ideas of any place in the land.
And the website they use is ChatCNT.
Rob Bonta, this is his wife. You should go down a rabbit hole on Bonta. He's a bad dude.
Yes, he is.
Really?
He's a piece of shit. And also, but it's great. But he's a Latina. He's a Latina color or whatever. This affirmative action, as we used to call it, DEI stuff. People have no idea the damage this has caused. Taking inept fucking dumbos and putting them in positions of power because they're Hispanic or black or lesbian or female or whatever.
All these people have zero moral compass.
He's a fucking idiot.
I believe that Bonta is tied to the investigation on the Duong people in the Bay Area. That Oakland mayor had to step down. She's investigated by the FBI.
We need more females in positions of color.
So essentially, I do think that in this case, Bonta has buried himself into a corner of turning a blind eye to stuff that he knows or he is possibly implicated in. And now his wife is they're double timing, trying to cover everybody's ass by trying to.
But hold on, former Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao.
Yeah.
But that's a woman and a minority, so they're better.
Oh, she's better.
They don't do stuff and died in federal bribery and corruption charges.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it turns out bitches are better at this than dudes were.
The Duong family, and I'm not entirely correct on all this, 100% accurate, but I believe what they were doing was they sold the city of Oakland refurbished containers, storage containers that were supposed to be refurbished to become homeless housing.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
And they were charging like $300,000 for one of these. The city of Oakland ordered 1 million of them. There were kickbacks everywhere.
I know. And then the plan is really,
and Bonta is buried in this somewhere.
You really expect we're asking you to investigate your friends, basically, and it's not going to happen. Yeah. By the way, it's all they accuse Trump of is lawfare.
And this stuff better come back and bite these people in the ass that go down to like the Trump rallies, and they basically record people and ask them questions that are loaded to make them look like idiots. And then all they do is just post the highlight reel of people saying stupid stuff and go, look at all these yokels over at the Trump rally. Okay, well, it works the same way then. If you don't want to post anything that incites violence or to humiliate, well, then guess what? This is all underneath this bill as well.
There's never been
the whole plan, just like they did with COVID and big tech, is just intimidate people into staying home and being silent, essentially, because as we found out with J6, if the wrong people are in charge, they can fucking ruin your life. I mean, that's kind of the implication.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Sorry.
Wisconsin sheriff sues Pakistani-American woman who said ICE detained her for 2 days when she was actually at a hotel spa. We got video of this.
Good. Sue that bitch. By the way, where are all the stories? Let me tell you something. There's two things. I've heard my whole life about Africanized killer bees coming to California from Mexico. I've never seen one. No one's ever been killed by a killer bee. It's never happened. It's 40 years on. All I hear is about ICE detaining people and disappearing people and doing all this. I never see the actual person. Shouldn't there be some guy who's released from prison with a big gray beard who goes, I was just mowing my lawn and I was mistaken for a Mexican and they disappeared? All you guys do is talk about stuff, but nothing ever comes out the other end.
Yeah.
It's basically their white supremacy is the biggest problem this country faces. Really? Because every time I turn on my phone, it's just some black kid punching an Asian. All right. So now, here we go.
That is right, Cheryl. Today, the Dodge County Sheriff said Sundance Sonny Nakvi's story was made up, and he's demanding action accountability for what he calls lies.
Sundas Naqvi was not detained by ICE at any time. She was not transported to Broadview Detention Facility. She was not transported across state lines to Dodge County, by law enforcement anyway. She was not in the custody of the Dodge County Sheriff's Office.
Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt, in his lawsuit, outlining what he calls a hoax, allegedly carried out by 28-year-old Sundas Sunny Naqvi. Naqvi's supporter spoke out last month after the Evanston native claimed she was detained at O'Hare Airport by Customs and Border Protection for 30 hours. Her family says she was then sent to the ICE detention facility in Broadview and later transported to a facility in Dodge County, Wisconsin, where they said she was released Saturday, March 7th. According to the lawsuit, Sheriff Schmidt says Naqvi was actually staying at a hotel near O'Hare and allegedly sent text messages from her room.
She checked into the Hampton Inn and Suites in Rosemont, Illinois for the entire duration of this alleged event. Travel from the Hampton Inn and Suites in Illinois to the Holiday Inn Express in Beaver Dam was done to complete this hoax. She scammed a victim out of thousands of dollars in pursuit of this hoax against the federal government.
Yeah. Look, by the way, when you start making victims into hero status, then you're going to get more people wanting to be fucking heroes.
Yeah, that's the problem with the dumbos that are standing outside of the detention center with signs, because it does incite people to want to pull off more scams like this. Yeah. Because it gets some attention, yeah.
Ro Khanna was getting schooled up by some chick online. I saw it. He's a dope. Obviously another California guy. There's a clip of it somewhere. But the reason I was thinking about that is because of they have a version of things. Like what I'm saying is like they have their artist rendering of the bridge that goes over the freeway, and they have their artist rendering of the bullet train, and they have their artist rendering of the 7th Street Bridge. That's a happy drawing that you guys made. Like when Mamdani's talking about the supermarkets and stuff, he has drawings of like happy people getting free food and farmers giving stuff. That's a drawing in your head. The reality is going to be an empty store. People are going to be fighting over the last Triscuit, and it's going to be a shit show. Yeah. And you're going to want more money. But Ro Khanna, listen to him. First off, he's dumb. And then secondly, he's getting schooled. But thirdly, his version of the illegals. Like they always do this thing, which drives me insane. Like it's somebody, like someone will go, you'll say, like if you said to a woman or whomever, like you go to your roommate, like, hey, let's, you got all your boxes in the living room. Let's just put those boxes away. And then let's just kind of get organized here, because I tripped over a box last night when I came home. And then they go, he wants me to crawl up the flue in the vent above the oven and scrub it with a toothbrush. And I'm like, that's not what no one's ever said that. Yeah. No one ever said that. No one ever said, I want to go find law-abiding immigrants that are here illegally, but are paying taxes and working hard and supporting the family, and round them up and disappear them. That's nothing's ever said, but that's his. Let's just listen to him try to make sense for 10 minutes.
As a regular, everyday American citizen, I feel that I am more likely to be harmed by Democratic policies such as open borders, because I'm for secure borders. Okay, right. But in your state,
he's for secure borders. In his artist rendering of the happy border with the flowers and the happy Mexicans. Yes, but you don't do anything. You fight against. The border got secured in 10 minutes after Trump showed up. Why? But he's for it. Mm-hmm. He's for it.
Because in your state,
for secure borders.
Okay, but in your state, something like 4,600 or so illegal migrants that had criminal records were re-released from jail. So when we're talking about harming Americans, when we're talking about children potentially being harmed, when we're looking into child trafficking, we have to acknowledge that illegal migration is the biggest funnel for child trafficking. So when we're worried about Epstein with a couple of people, and you guys turn a blind eye to tens of thousands of children being harmed by your policies, that's a problem. problem?
We have been for a secure border, but here's what I want.
No one in California can say that they're for a secure border.
Well, that's a policy I've been pushing for. But let me say this. Instead of having ICE raids in places like Minneapolis, killing Americans like Alex Preddy and Renee Good.
2 people.
And doing raids
By
on
the way,
undocumented folks.
They remember the name of any nut job that got shot by law enforcement. That's always at the tip of their tongue. The hundreds of people that just get stabbed by illegals every year, they never know one of their names. They can't even pronounce them. They've never said it. They always have those 2 names.
Yeah.
Always, if somebody was killed by law enforcement, they fucking know him up and down and backwards. Wake that guy up in his sleep 5 years from now. Ask him the names of 2 guys killed in Minnesota, and he'll tell you the 2 names. Ask him anybody who's been killed by an illegal.
Yeah.
They'll never know the fucking name.
The good-looking blonde gal on the subway.
Right.
No recollection.
All right, here we go.
Killing Americans like Alex Preddy and Renee Good.
2 people.
And doing raids on undocumented folks here who may be paying taxes and having a restaurant. How about we have the focus on the border to stop
hold on. So ICE is
having a restaurant.
They're having a restaurant and paying taxes and having a restaurant. As someone find me a clip of Trump saying, you know what I'm going to do with these ICE officials? I'm going after taxpayers who have restaurants.
Yeah.
All right, keep playing. It's funny.
Terrorists or to stop the gangs or to stop sex trafficking.
All right, hold on. There's 1 million hours of Tom Homan saying these guys, there's terrorists, there's sex traffickers, there's gang members. We need to go into your town and clean these fucking people up. But he wants to know why they're going after restaurant owners and not gang members. So no one's ever said that. Ever. It broke. What the answer is like, where's he get his information from? It's fucking. All right, so keep going. So
here who may be paying taxes and having a restaurant. How about we have the focus on the border to stop the terrorists or to stop the gangs or to stop sex trafficking?
The border's closed.
If you're worried about sex trafficking, why is your focus on rich people who are committing significantly less sex trafficking crimes? Not saying that they're innocent, but your anger towards this seems very skewed and very hypocritical.
My anger towards them is because they feel like they're above the law, that they
and
use
so do
their
these migrants that get right back out of jail when you guys let them out.
But I am not for,
they are above the law. They are at a tier that gets to walk free whenever they want.
I believe that if you've committed a violent crime or a terrible crime in this country, you should face deportation.
But you guys don't do it. You believe it, but you let these people
out. Hold on. He believes in a lot of stuff he doesn't do or say ever.
Mm-hmm. I believe in a clean house. I just don't clean it.
That's right. All right, sorry. Keep going. There's a good part.
Obama had a record of having secured the border, and there were a lot of criminals who were deported. What I don't agree with is what ICE is doing, putting terror in communities. I mean, let me ask you this.
I feel comfortable with ICE around. I'm not a criminal, illegal immigrant, so I feel very comfortable. I'm not terrorized by them, and I'm from New York. Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. If there's an undocumented immigrant here, right, came across without their papers, and they opened a restaurant.
All right, pause. What do you mean without their papers?
Came across, but they forgot them at home.
They forgot they just stumbled across with no papers.
Oh, man.
It's like sometimes you go to the airport, but you forgot your license, and then you got to call your girlfriend to bring it to you so you can go through security.
These are specific papers that just say they can come to America.
Well, they came here and they forgot their papers.
I'm sorry, I forgot my papers.
But anyway, they opened a restaurant.
Yeah. Oh, I have. They have a restaurant.
By the way, is there one person that's been deported that is this person he speaks of?
Wait, did the gangbangers own the restaurants? Is that who were arrested
They forgot the papers they had. Here we go.
And they've been
Why? Why are they allowed to do that? Why are they taking that place away from someone else?
Right, let's say they've been here 10 years and they're paying taxes. Do you think ICE should go and try to deport them, or do you think that we should? So we just disagree there.
We disagree in that he's an elected official and a lawmaker who doesn't want to enforce the law, and she's some chick from Brooklyn who does want to enforce it, but they disagree. That's where we... what other laws do we disagree on?
At least they're both for border security.
Rokana, I disagree on the 55 speed limit. How about that? I'm an 85 guy.
Yeah.
That's where we disagree. So no law enforcement. So he wants us to shut the border to stop the terrorists from getting in. Except for he left the fucking border open for 4 years, never said a thing, and now the border is shut. So what's he talking about with the border, number one? And then number two, he's invented this person. This is the Maryland dad. You invented this nice guy, forgot his paperwork, starting a thriving business and paying tons of taxes, and then we're going to shut that guy down. Is this what you think this is? And by the way, don't you have any thoughts about how fucking dumb you sound when you speak? Like people film it and then they put it up and then I make fun of you. Like,
yeah, going back to what you said earlier is that sometimes people need to hear what they sound like. Sadly, I think they do know what they sound like and they're okay with it. They just keep rolling with it.
The Nancy Pelosi statue thing. Did we ever find that? I don't know why I am so enamored with that.
Yeah.
Literally, someone's asking a person that people are tearing down statues. And you know, she goes, she said she's not much of a, she's not nostalgic. Like she doesn't collect stuff. She's not a scrapbooker. And people are doing what they do, you know, which is, you know, running in the streets and burning shit. And by the way, she's from California. In California, if you want to hang up a hummingbird feeder, you got to pull a permit.
Sure.
You want to tear down 7,000 tons of bronze in a park? You're on your own.
Turn into scrap
Just
metal.
tie that hose to the back of the pickup truck and get a running start. All right, this is great.
The city of Richmond is obviously in sync with your desire to get rid of Confederate statues, but in Baltimore and Little Italy, the statue of Christopher Columbus was removed or taken down. And I wonder if you have anything to share about that.
Well, I'm not a big, you know, I don't even have my grandmother's earrings. I'm not a big, let's see what we have in terms of monuments in this. If the community doesn't want the statue there, the statue shouldn't be there.
Actually, shouldn't that be done by a commission or the city council, not a mob in the middle of the night throwing it into the harbor?
People will do what they do.
Jesus fucking Christ, people. You 200. Yeah. All right, but by the way, people will wander through the rotunda on January 6th, bitch. That's just people doing what they do. You don't have feelings about other people doing things. She's not into nostalgia.
Hypocrite. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right. Friday, Phoenix. Rudy's going to be there being funny. Desert Ridge Improv. First show sold out on Friday, but other shows are going good over there. Sunday we're doing as well. I'm going to be everywhere. Rudy will be everywhere too. So just go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. And for Rudy, just go to rudypavichcomedy.com. And until next time, this is Adam for Rudy and Joey saying mahalo.